Now let's turn our attention to other stories now. Every July the 15th is set aside by the United Nations as the World Youth Skills Day, and this year the UN General Assembly, or General Secretary, or Secretary General if you call it that, Ban Ki-moon is calling for more investment in young people to better advance the broader mission of the UN.
In Nigeria, unemployment is still a major problem amongst youths. Many of them continue to seek for white-collar jobs, which is seldom available and hard to get when it is. Now, more attention is being shifted to skills acquisition and vocational education as a way out of unemployment in Nigeria.
Now, but for us to have a clearer picture of the subject, we called out this report from our archives when some unemployed youths stormed the National Assembly seeking influence of lawmakers to get jobs. Let's see that story.
Since the inauguration of the 8th National Assembly on June 9, these unemployed youths have made the complex a daily destination in a bid to get the attention of their representatives. Hanging outside the lobby and occupying the gallery, these youths track down senators or House of Representatives members, pleading for assistance in getting employment. Sometimes they wait for hours without seeing the lawmakers, while others who are lucky to meet with them end up smiling or disappointed.
As I just came into the place, I heard that most of them have not really gotten office. So I am standing here to see if I can see him. You know, if he's coming out from the chamber.
We never create any avenue for meeting them. But we are just waiting for them here. Immediately they finish, so we can be able to call them, so we meet them wherever they are, so we can be able to discuss why we're here.
One civil society advocate explains that politicians are to be blamed for giving false hopes to their constituents during campaigns, only to avoid these same people after being voted into power.
It shows us that we have a time bomb in our hand. If you look at the demographic distribution of those who are here, they were mainly, and who have continued to be here anyway, they come from mainly the youth brackets. It shows that something has to be done, and done positively on time, to address this huge unemployment problem we have.
On its part, the leadership of the National Assembly has promised to create enabling laws that will provide jobs outside government agencies.
The task before us is enormous but very clear. Nigerians voted for change. They demand that we deliver to them tangible change. They expect that we improve the quality of governance. We are the closest representation that they have to the federal system.
While some of the jobless youths are lucky, many others remain unlucky, as the lawmakers keep asking them to return over and over again in a bid to discourage them.
All right, you heard that report there. One of the issues that the reporter talked about there is because they interviewed the people and they said that some of the politicians are to blame for giving false hope
to their constituents.
About,
Absolutely.
okay, there's going to be entrepreneurial skill acquisition here, vocational this and that here, but some of them are not sustainable after some time.
Mike, what you see most of the time when, we're told, bring your cameras, we want to do something for the youth, you just find those lawmakers give maybe a Okada, the motorcycles, and sewing machine, and, a few things, just tokens, rather than, providing real institutional framework that can change the lives of those people for good.
We'll talk about this as we get along. But joining us in the studio is the Chairman, Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union, Comrade Oj Ebenezer. And from our Abuja studio, we have Senior Program Officer, Youth Initiative for Advocacy, Youth and Advancement, Ibrahim Faruk. Gentlemen, it's good to have you join us in the studio for TVC Breakfast this morning.
Thank you.
Now, Oj, let me start with you this morning. The issue of skill acquisition, as the case may be, has been on the front. In fact, it's one of the most popular programs that NGOs, governments, and institutions always carry out sometimes. But how bad, let me put it that way, how bad is the situation on ground when we talk about youths that are involved in entrepreneurial or vocational skill acquisition, and how bad is the gap between those programs and what they really have on ground?
Well, to me, we are not there yet, because in actual sense, you know, the level of unemployment in the country is rising very high. And when you look at our youth, many of them are just, they are jobless. Many of them, they're involved in different things, different vices that's it's taking their time. Now, government is trying to put a lot of programs in place, but if you look at the implementation of those programs, you discover that the gap is still so wide because we still have many youths that are doing nothing. They don't have the skill. When it comes to vocation, you know, they don't have anything to do. Many are still running after white-collar jobs today because they believe that's the only way they can earn a living. You know, so to me, it's still the gap is still very wide, and Nigeria is still far from it.
Okay, let's bring in Ibrahim Faruk in right now. Well, I'm just... Okay, looks like we don't have him. I'm trying to make out what...
No, he's there.
He's there. Okay, good. Now, some say that the reason why we have such high unemployment in Nigeria is the lack of functional education that really does not, you know, prepare people for the real world. When you talk about vocation, it almost sounds like a bad word to the average Nigerian youth. Why have we not taken vocational skills and vocational education skills acquisition and all of that seriously enough in Nigeria, seeing that this is actually the secret of the advancement, you know, in the advanced world?
Well, thank you very much for having me here on the show today. And I think like some of the other contributors have said, there's just a lot of emphasis on getting some white-collar jobs. Unfortunately, the formal sector, as we call it, or the formal industrial sector, is unable to cater for all of the unemployed or underemployed young Nigerians that we have. Statistics show that the formal industrial sector is only able to cater for about 10% of unemployed or underemployed youth. So therefore, we must find an alternative. We have technical and vocational educational schools and colleges. We have polytechnics. We have some of the non-formal training institutions where young people can develop their skills. And these are skills that drive the ages. We have polytechnics. We have some of the non-formal training institutions where young people can develop their skills. And these are skills that drive the economy more than anything else. We need to shift our attention to some of those small and medium enterprises that are the key drivers of our economy. It's just unfortunate. However, we've seen that in recent times there has been some improvement on trying to improve the skills of young people, some more technical and vocational education and training for young people to be able to contribute to the development and growth of the economy as well.
Okay, let me come to you, OJ, in the studio. We know that in the part of the 70s and in the 80s and then maybe in the beginning of the 90s, there was much more emphasis on the issue of vocational skill. Young people were able to, they found pride in doing all of those. In fact, there were people who, when they were growing up, they said, we're going straight to technical college before we go further, as the case may be. Is there anything wrong with the school curriculum that's supposed to map out this framework in the first place?
Well, I would say schools at various levels, as primary, secondary and tertiary education, every time there used to be review of the curriculum, you know, to accommodate for more, to open things up, to accommodate vocational education. Recently, I think WAEC had to even bring in about 39 practical subjects, you know, skills, subject, photography, air conditioning, building, you know, a lot of, about 39 of them, we call them practical oriented subjects, and every student has to do that. Now, I think the problem is that in the past, parents, they encourage their students, their children to go to school, and some that cannot afford schools, they allow them to go and learn a trade. But these days, that is not there again. All parents want their world to go to school. They believe white-collar job is only the way out.
Especially going to the universities.
What is responsible for this, situation where parents or guardians have lost confidence in, putting their kids or their wards in technical schools? Is it a societal thing where we seem to be placing too much emphasis on paper qualification?
Yeah, I think that's the problem. You see, we have a misplaced priority in Nigeria here. Many of our parents, they believe it's only when you get to university that you can make it. And government is not helping out. I believe government is not doing more in supporting the people that are in the vocation, people that have acquired one particular skill or the other, and they have tried to establish themselves. They're trying to be on their own. They don't have help coming from anywhere, so they have to struggle all alone to survive. And when there's no help, you see many of them go under. All right? And when, as a parent, I've seen that this particular person have tried to make it in life, he couldn't make it, and somebody just went to school and is doing just paperwork and is riding on good cars and all that, I would want my child to go to a university rather than go to a vocational school where you have a competent skill that you can establish on your own. And until Nigeria get there, get to a level of many of these advanced countries where skill is more appreciated. One of the Chinese proverbs will say, teach me how to fish, don't give me fish. Where you can do things on your own practically, and you can be a man. You have support from the government, you have agencies, that are supporting you. There's provision for loans here and there. I think the present government is trying to do that now, trying to open up vocational education.
But there has always been the issue of vocational education institutions and all of that, even from the 90s and so on. During General Ibrahim Babangida's era, there were NDE, there were different agencies for. But let me bring in Ibrahim Faruk at this point. We had about 2-3 decades ago, we had it going well, relatively, but now OJ paint a picture of how bad things are right now. At what point did this deviation or the derailment come to be?
Sorry, can you please take that again?
All right, I am saying that about 2 decades ago, or even more than that, vocational training was a very, young people take pride in it. And now, OJ here in the studio gave us a vivid picture of how the society has derailed. Young people have derailed from trying to or liking vocational skill. You also said it earlier on, but at what point did this change? At what point was the derailment?
I think it's very difficult to pinpoint the exact stage at which it was derailed. I think it was progressive, like you said, over the past 10, 20 years, where a lot more emphasis has been placed on getting a certificate, going to the university, and there has been less emphasis on skills and what young people are able to do. And unfortunately, successive governments have not been very helpful in ensuring that young people are developed in terms of skill acquisition and vocational and educational training. I think it has been a progressive decline, and we have gotten to a point where we realize that unless we go back to developing the skills in young people, we're just going to have a situation on our hand that we cannot adequately control. We have a huge youth population, which is most times called the youth bulge, and we have young people that do not have any skills. Some of them have no form of training. Sometimes it is even made worse by situations of conflict or natural disasters, and you have this mass of young people with really nothing to do. And I'm glad that we can see that when we celebrate international days like this, and we see that even at the continental level, there's a strategy to increase the technical and vocational education and training of African youth. It is bringing the discussion to the fore. And we need to keep on talking about it, and the more we talk about it, we need to now get the government to be responsive and to take action to ensure that we now are able to develop the skills of young people adequately to contribute to the development of the economy.
Indeed. Let me come back to OJ right here in the studio. Let me even read a quote. "A vocational and technical skills education gives individuals the skills to live, learn, and work as a productive citizen in a global society." Now that this government, wants to turn around the economy, move it in the direction of other areas apart from oil, there have been reports of the dearth of, technical skills in Nigeria. If you're looking for a plumber, you have to look across to Togo. You're looking for a tiler and all of that. Yeah. Can a nation like Nigeria, these dreams that we have, these visions, will they just remain a mirage if we don't tackle this, challenge as quickly as possible?
Oh, definitely, it's going to be a mirage if we don't tackle the problem with all sincerity. If government is not so committed to it, and programs that will check the effectiveness of anything they are trying to put in place is there. If there's no such program to check how effective is the implementation of any program, you discover it's going to be a mirage. Because I remember around in the 80s, like you said, government tried as much as possible when schools started junior secondary school and senior secondary school. The target then was that 6-3-3-4 system of education. The target then was that any student that is not so brilliant, not the high flyers, that cannot continue the education, once you get to junior secondary school, then you can now go from there to technical colleges.
Isn't that where the problem is? When you say if a student is not that brilliant, then he can go acquire some skill. Isn't that where the real challenge is? Because we're already making these people look like, look, you don't have...
There's a category, categorizing the students.
And that in itself is a false start.
No. What I mean by that is this.
Rather than give them that confidence that, look, if you don't want to follow academics, you can go ahead.
Yeah, we have individual differences. Of course, we can't all be high flyers. What I mean by that is we can't all be medical doctors. For you to go to medical school, you must go for sciences and all that. All of us cannot go for sciences and all that. Some students are average students. They may not score up to 70 or 80 in a particular subject, but that does not mean they are not creative. That does not mean they are not brilliant. They're very intelligent, but it's not their intelligence cannot be measured by what they can read or write. But give them some practical things to do, you see the creativity being displayed.
And like you said, and that's how you were able to have the Bill Gates of this world, the Steve Jobs and the rest of them, who actually had to drop out of school because they needed to pick up this skills. Maybe we should bring in Ibrahim Faruk here before we go further and bring, give our
before
viewers,
the news update for the time, which will come just in about 4 or 5 minutes. Ibrahim, let me come to you on this. Now, today's World Youth Skills Day, set aside by the United Nations. How best can a day like this be commemorated?
I think the best way to commemorate this is for the government to come out strongly and show that, like Mr. Ebenezer said, it is not just about young people or Nigerians who are able to be in some of those high-flying, so-called high-flying professions. The government has come up with its job creation framework, and it focuses on many areas such as construction and ICT and agriculture, where skills are needed more than anything else. It is the skilled young people that are going to be driving these sectors of the economy, and we need to see a strong commitment from the government to show that it is not just about making campaign promises and not fulfilling them. It is about a sincere commitment to meeting to achieving these promises, to meeting the needs and the aspirations of the people that put them in office, especially that large youth population that was very instrumental in ensuring that they got into office.
Let me come back to you, OJ. Do we even really appreciate, what it costs Nigeria, what Nigeria is losing to the so-called expatriate engineers, who themselves are products of technical and vocational schools, and they come to Nigeria and they take the chunk of, you know, whatever is available and take it back to their own country.
And that's why we're talking about government coming stronger in this area. Government coming stronger to fund vocational education, because until that is done, we'll continue to lose to all these expatriates. They will continue to come, will continue to, like you just rightly mentioned, now you need somebody to fix your car. You don't even have them again. You know, nobody wants to learn any vocation to be an auto mechanic again. Nobody wants to learn any vocation to be a organizer. Nobody wants, you know, and we now depend on neighboring countries to get all this. Even you need a mason to work on your building, the bricklayer, you don't have them again, you know. So until government comes stronger, make the work so enticing, okay, bring up some programs, support vocational schools. Like I lecture in the College of Education Technical. You know, I know what we go through there. I know how the provost of the college has been trying even to give power so that some of the machines we have to teach the students can work. So until they are government is serious about it and put in everything to support vocational education, we may continue to lose to foreigners who will come in and take some of these things away from us.
All right, we have a situation where we still find young people who are inventing things on their own, inventing application apps, they're inventing different things. You go to University of Lagos, you go to University of Benin, you go to Zaria, or even go to the East, Newi and all of that. Young people are coming up with creative things and all of that. But how are they doing it in the face of all of this death of what government is not doing, what government has failed to do, the curriculum is not taking care of this and that? How are they doing that?
You see, an average Nigerian, we are rugged. That's the fact. You know, Nigerians generally, we are rugged. Okay, you need to come to my college and even see how some of my students are surviving, how some of them do the assignments. You know, at times I stay late in the office, and I see the way they go, no light, no that, and they still struggle to do their work. So the same thing applies to all the people you've mentioned in various institutions. The students are on their own trying, you know, to come up with what is inside of them. They are creative. You know, they are trying to, you know, bring out what they have in them, you know, so that everybody will see what they have in them. But the government should just help. I believe if we have everything in place, if we have stable pass.
Part of the same question. Now, stay with us on TVC Breakfast. It's time for news update for the time. And Kemi Folademo is standing by. Kemi, good morning again.
Thanks a lot, Mike. The absence of Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema and the United States Ambassador has stalled a public hearing on an alleged sexual misconduct of 3 members of the House of Representatives. Last month, James Entwistle wrote to the Speaker of the House intimating him that there were allegations of sexual misconduct against 3 lawmakers which occurred while they were in Ohio. While the affected lawmakers have maintained their innocence, the House resolved to investigate the matter. Onyema and Entwistle have now been asked to appear next week, that's the 20th, before the Joint Committees on Ethics and Privileges as well as Foreign Relations. Constituents of the Lagos Central Senatorial District are calling for the suspension of Dino Melaye from the Nigerian Senate. This is a fallout of the altercation between him and Senator Oluremi Tinubu, who represents Lagos Central. Senator Tinubu's constituents converged on the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos to protest against her alleged molestation by Senator Melaye. The presidency has sent a letter to the Senate seeking the screening and confirmation of Ibrahim Magu as the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Magu had been acting as the head of the anti-graft agency since November last year. The letter seeking his screening was read by Senate President Bukola Saraki at plenary. The senator representing Abia South Senatorial District, Ayinaya Abaribe, has clarified statements that alleged he called for the impeachment of President Muhammadu Buhari in a closed-door session of the Senate. Speaking exclusively with TVC News, the senator said he was only warning senators of the All Progressives Congress to urgently embrace peace or go through constitutional processes against the president if they feel they have public support. Senator Abaribe urged the APC at both the legislative and executive levels to focus on critical governance issues rather than fighting personal battles while Nigerians suffer. And Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, has fixed August the 17th as the date for its convention to elect new leaders for the party. This resolution was reached after hours of deliberation at a stakeholders meeting which held behind closed doors in Abuja yesterday. The party is optimistic that the crisis that has rocked it following the leadership tussle in the party will soon be a thing of the past. The party also revealed that efforts are in place to reunite with aggrieved members and amend its constitution for the benefit of all members. That's news update. Ngozi and Mike will continue with TPC Breakfast.
All right, thank you very much, Kemi.
All right, thanks for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. We are discussing the World Youth Skills Day, a day set aside by the United Nations to commemorate the investment in youth skill acquisition generally. We have the chairman of the Colleges of Education Senior Staff Association with us in the studio, Comrade O.J. Ebenezer in the studio, and we have Ibrahim Faruk in our Abuja studio. Now, Ibrahim, before we have some information to reel out, but Ibrahim, let me come to you on this. I asked the question earlier on that in the midst of inadequate power supply, inadequate capital or credit loans from banks and all of that, we still find many youths expressing themselves, inventing different things at different levels. In this same environment, others are complaining of these not being there. That's the reason why we can't do this and all of that. So what's the difference between those who are doing it and those who are not doing it?
Well, thank you very much. And I think that you have just shown both sides of the coin. And this shows that we have young Nigerians who are resilient, who are innovative, who are resourceful, who are energetic. And in spite of the many challenges that they face, they are able to show their capacity and what they are able to come up with. Unfortunately, we do not have a system or policies that encourage this sort of innovation or this sort of resourcefulness. And you watch the news regularly and you see young people doing amazing things with their skills. And like you said, there isn't enough power, the environment isn't conducive enough for them to operate. And so when we talk about the government showing seriousness and commitment to young people especially, we would like to see more young people who have proven that they are innovative and they are resourceful, being celebrated. You know, let the world know their achievements. Let the rest of the country know what they are able to do. Unfortunately, that has not happened. Young people who are innovative and resourceful are not celebrated. Young people who have skills are not celebrated. And we know that if you put them on the world stage with their peers, they are going to perform fantastically well. And so we'd like to see, as we celebrate the World Youth Skills Day, we'd like to see that the skills of young people are celebrated, that the government shows a commitment to developing them when they have shown a capacity and an ability to do so in the midst of all of the challenges that they face. And also for the ones that think it is impossible, I think this is also an example to them, and it shows that, look, hey, in spite of all of the challenges, you're still able to do great things.
Indeed, and you just wonder what the dangers are to a nation that refuses or fails to recognize the passion and the drive in these young people who are really truly creative. I'd like you to answer that, but let's give our viewers some more information about this. Youths between age 15 to 34 make up more than half of Nigeria's 180 million population. A major problem they face is unemployment, especially in the light of the country's economic challenges. Education experts believe there is a way out, and that is for them to adopt vocational training and skill acquisition.
Now, vocational and middle-level technical manpower are crucial in the growth of developing economies, including Nigeria. Now, most of the countries that have embraced technical training have a low record of unemployment, but they have made marks in technological inventions, economic autonomy, and productivity.
Public and private investment of technical and vocational education in European countries such as Germany, Sweden, Denmark, United Kingdom have helped these countries reap immense profit, resulting in economic growth.
Now, records show that Nigeria has about 132 technical colleges. Out of them, 19 are owned by the federal government, 110 by states, and just 3 are owned by private individuals.
Ogun State has 7 state technical training institutes, making it the state with the highest number of technical training colleges, followed closely by Delta with 6, while Kogi, Kaduna and Katsina have 5. Lagos and Ebonyi have 2. Imo and Cross River have 4 each. And Enugu has only 1 state technical training college. Federal government-owned training colleges are also situated in some of these states. Mike, it's surprising that Anambra State, where you have Newi and all the rest of them, don't even have a technical college.
But what they have out there on the marketplace is bigger, is larger,
Massive.
and more effective than the actual 4 walls of a technical college.
Indeed.
If you go to Newi or go to Onitsha, for instance, you see fabrications, you see a lot of things.
Mind-blowing fabrications. You actually have a gentleman who has built helicopters.
Yeah,
and,
we had young
auto
people
engines
who,
and all of that.
they've come up with all of this. Now we have a made in Nigeria car somewhere in Newi, and then even within the university, departments of engineering, you see lots of inventions by young people. And if you go to Benin, for instance, there are also young people delving into medicine and chemicals and things like that.
I recall reading last year about this group of students at Unilag who have actually built a car, and they're saying in the next 10 years they will actually have the electrical, or is it electric car? Yes,
electric car. We'll get into that. But the curricula of vocational schools are centered on craft engineering, trades, agriculture, business and home economics. Now, many blame the death of skilled technicians such as bricklayers, carpenters, auto mechanics and electronic technicians, among others, on past administration's nonchalance towards the importance of skill acquisition.
Yes, indeed. And that seems to be what we have been able to establish here. I recall, being in a place like Germany, it was always difficult to meet anyone who said they were university graduates. You meet graduates of vocational schools and all of that. They're technical. It's a do-it-yourself, DIY society, all because people have been prepared, in school to face the real world. How can we turn this around very quickly for Nigeria if we're going to make progress?
Well, I think we are getting close to that. We are getting close to that because, the orientation of every Nigerian is now tilting towards what you just said now, what they are doing in Germany. I think now even parents, Nigerian parents now are now thinking of every child, all their children should have a trade, You now have parents encouraging their children after primary school or junior secondary school, the long vacations, and even tell them to go and learn a trade, go and learn one craft or the other, And many schools now, during long vacation, summer period, they don't bring in all this paperwork. They now bring in some practical things that students will learn. I know in school that during this long vacation they are going to now, all they want to teach the students is how to do some practical things. And if we continue with that trend, very soon we'll be there. But like I said before, government needs to encourage people the more, and parents too need to encourage their children the more. Once we all have that mind that, look, you have to be able to do some things yourself, okay, then the better for Nigeria.
All right, Comrade OJ Ebenezer, thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast, and happy World Youth Skills Day.
Thank you for
And of course, Ibrahim Faruk has been with us from Abuja. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope this time next year we will have some success stories as far as this is concerned. Thank you so much, gentlemen.